channel. Today I'm really excited to show you how to paint this rooster on a fence overlooking the farmland and a beautiful morning sunrise. We're going to have some flowers here in the foreground as well. At this stage I'm not really sure. I'm kind of just putting this together in my mind and making this up as I go along. However, I can't picture a rooster in my mind, so I do have a few reference photos that I'm going by. We're going to be working on a 16 by 20 canvas. I primed it once with acrylic gesso. I've got my large number 50 Filbert brush that I'm going to be painting the background with. And I'm going to go over a few of the colors that we're going to be using just to start. Titanium white, neon yellow warm, neon orange, neon pink, and light blue violet. Be sure to check out the description below this video for a full list of all the colors and brushes that we're using. The first thing I want to do is just get my canvas a little bit wet. So I've got a bit of water on my brush and I'm just going to simply apply a very thin coat of water. This will help the canvas be slippery and help that paint blend out of my brush and not dry out so fast. I'm going to begin right away with a little bit of white and a little bit of my neon yellow warm. I'm going to start right in this section here. Now this composition is a little bit different. I'm going to have my sky or horizon line start from here, and then it's going to sweep down like this and then over like this. And I'm just gonna make this slightly patchy. That way I pick up different tones and colors when I start to come in with my orange and my pink and white. And right in this area here, I'm just gonna apply a little bit of white for our sun. I'm gonna go right into white, yellow, and orange now. And I'm gonna begin just a little over top of where I left off with my yellow. Again, making this look slightly patchy. Take more of my yellow. And I'm just going to apply it around the sun, that way it'll be nice and bright. And without washing my brush off, I'm going to go into that pretty pink, a little bit of white with the other colors left in my brush. Now you can make your lines really flowy. That'll help add some more whimsy to this painting. I'm gonna pick up just a little bit of water and then pull, slightly scoop here. And again, without washing my brush off, I'm going to go right into my blue, take a little bit of white, wiggle, and just start to apply a little bit of this color so that we start getting some shadows. Now, of course, where the blue is overlapping on part of the orange and the yellow, it's going to turn to a smoky tan, even like a hint of plum in there, which is really pretty. And I always like to add a few more layers, picking up a little bit of white in with my blue for some softer tones. I'm gonna go over to a number 12 Filbert brush now. I'm gonna add just a little bit more of my blue right over this hill. And then a little bit of white in there. And I'm going to take this warm yellow, take some blue with that, and just start coming in with our hill over here. That's a pretty color, right? It's like a really soft green gold. Do the same on this side. And this time, I'm going to really be dramatic and start painting some lines that come down here and flow like this. So they go down and then across. Slope down, diagonal, and across. Now, because these are rows, I don't know what they are, maybe they're corn, whatever we've got growing in our farm, in our field. They're going to come up and stand out a little bit higher, so it doesn't have to be perfectly smooth on the top. I'm going to use a little bit of my cadmium yellow light hue and a little bit of black. I'm going to take these two colors and just make a dark olive green. So I'm going to start coming in with a little bit more shadow now. And right about here, I'm just going to scoop and pull. I think I might have a little oak tree far away at the top there. That might be kind of fun. And I'll start to add darker lines now and define these a little bit more. And then I'll just scumble this in here, the rest of the same color, only this time I'm going to add more yellow, so it'll be slightly brighter. And then a little bit of white in there. We're going to start right here and pull up. Back over to my original olive green color that I made. And we'll continue along here. With our rose. You really just want to concentrate on using the tip of your brush when you want skinnier lines. And don't apply a lot of pressure. Now I'm going back for a little bit of water here and there to loosen up all the paint that's building up in my brush. This not only helps the paint spread out easier, it saves my brush from getting ruined. Okay, then I'm going to go over to a little bit of that neon yellow with white. A bit more of the yellow. Even if there's a little bit of that pink in there, that's okay, because we can make peach by adding that yellow. I'm going to go inside. Between those rows. And I think this is still wet that I can work with this. Bit of water. Right up here where it's going to be nice and bright from the sun, I'll add a little bit more white. Right at the top there. Okay, now down here, I want it to be dark. So I'm going to take the rest of that black and yellow, and I'm just going to start pulling my brush strokes up like this, just for maybe some tall grass. Mostly going to be covered up, but I just like the idea that it's going in this direction. It changes things in the foreground. And this nice dark background down here is going to make our fence really stand out a lot more. Just taking a little bit of water in my brush. I'm going to slightly go over that to put these rows down here, so put them a little bit more in shadow. Remember, we've got the sunlight in this area, and then it's going to be darker down here. Okay, so for the next stage of this painting, I want to add a little bit more shadow in here on this side, and I think I'm going to be using some burnt sienna for this. I think a very thin, transparent coat of burnt sienna will give us a very nice, warm filter without making it too dark. It'll be just the right amount and the right hue. Okay, so I'm using Liquitex Basics Acrylic Burnt Sienna. I'm going to use number 30 Filbert brush for this. And I'm going to take this lovely burnt sienna here with a bit of water. And I'm just going to start brushing over. See how much that changes? Another alternative for this would be, I would use Prism Violet. That would be pretty. Or any kind of warm purple I think would look really nice. Add just a little bit more of that green along with my burnt sienna for the top here. Notice how I'm just sort of tapping. You can do a tap. You can also tap and pull. It's going to give us a little bit more depth. I'm going to add a little bit of Neon Yellow Cool to my palette now. Okay, with a dry, clean brush, I'm going to take a little bit of this Neon Yellow Cool with a little bit of white. And I'm just going to pull it up and over. Then I'm going to take a little bit of each yellow with a little bit of white. And I'm going to begin the filter of the sunlight over this hill now. Use a little bit more white. Pull that white right off the center. Whoops, accidentally got just a little bit of black in there. It's too close to my white. Let's get rid of that. And try that again. What are the yellows? A little bit more white this time. Just to make that really glow. And then we're going to leave this area here dark. Just add little hints of this and see how it changes the tone a little bit into that blue. It looks a little bit on the green side, and I like that. It's quite pretty. I think we can work on our little oak tree back here in the distance. And I'll use my little Filbert brush. Use any small brush that you want. And I'm going to take a little bit of that green color with my burnt sienna. And where we've got the shadow, we can just apply our little tree right about here. And then carefully add a few little branches, mostly going to be covered up by the treetops. The leaves and foliage, right? And then I'm going to go right in, just slide my brush into that neon yellow warm with a little bit of white and add a highlight. And I've got this mini mop brush that's the perfect size for adding the top on the trees. So I'm going to take a little bit of my olive green this time. And I'm just going to tap a little bit of that black in there. Maybe even a little bit of burnt sienna. And we can start applying little taps. Leaving a few spaces like that. Then I'm going to go back over to my little Filbert brush and I'll add some highlights. I'm going to take the olive green, neon yellow warm, and some white. So where the sun would be hitting it, be kind of on this side, right? It's not gonna catch those on the back side. Okay, so I think what I want to do now is paint a few sunflowers back here before we add the fence. I think that would, and I just love sunflowers too, so I've got the right colors here so far. I just need to add one, and I think I'm going to add my neon yellow cool. And for my sunflowers, I'm just going to paint them really loosely. I'm not a painter who tries to make my flowers look realistic. I want this to feel like art, like it's a painting, have movement and exaggeration, and be whimsical. So I'm going to be using a number 8 Filbert brush. I think this is just going to be the right size for some pretty flowy petals. And I'm going to paint my petals first, and then I'll add the circle, the center of the flower after. So what I want to do is take some white, a little bit of neon yellow warm, and a little bit of neon yellow cool. So I have all 3 of those colors on my brush. And I'm going to push, wiggle, twist out, push, wiggle, twist out. I know I need a little bit more color there. I don't want to make these too big so that they compete with the rooster. I just want to have a little bit of more of a fall feel to this. And sunflowers are that kind of end of the summer, fall type of flower. You see them at the fall fairs, and I don't know, they just really have that fall feel to me. So, and they're such showy, impressive, beautiful flowers. I'm overlapping each time I add one, and I'm loading my brush up again. I need lots of paint. Okay, now I'll add just a few more. Maybe these ones are in the distance. We can come in and add a little bit more color later. And then we could have some in the background here, right? That we're not going to see all of. We're just going to see them partially. And we might even cover up a lot of this with our fence. I'm just kind of doing this for fun. Haven't planned this painting out at all. It's how I like to paint most of the time. So to give it that perspective that they're growing big, way back there and maybe over and down, just paint them smaller and smaller, just little dabs, very impressionistic like. I am going to add a little bit of my neon orange. I'm just going to take my little mini mop brush here, tap it into that black and the green. And just start tapping in here. The center of the flowers. And I did this one a little bit differently, right? Because that one's showing up more than the others are. It's the closest to us, so it's the biggest. Then I'm going to take a little bit more of that green, yellow, a little bit of white, and just tap for some light little highlights. And back over to my Filbert brush. little bit of orange and yellow. And we'll start enhancing the colors. Some flowers have really beautiful petals, and they kind of look like paper twisting and rolling over on the tips of them at times. So that's kind of why I'm twisting and rolling my brush. I'll go back into my white and my yellow warm. I'm going to go back and take some white with my yellow and start adding some highlights on some of them. We've always got those shades underneath that will show through as well. And now we can have some stalks for these, stems for these big sunflowers. That again are mostly going to be covered up. Okay, so before I start painting the fence and the rooster, I'm going to get a little bit more titanium white. And add more sunlight, overlapping this beautiful pastel sky. We're still going to have all those colors underneath. They're just going to be softer now. We're going to feel the sunlight more. And I've got a number 11 flat brush here, square flat. And I'm going to take a little bit of black, purple, and blue. So the fence is going to come right down here and then start to go on a slight slant. So it's not going to be straight across, but you could paint your straight across if you want. I'm going to get my brush wet first And I'm going to start with black. And I'll start right here. So about 2 inches. And then start to go right down. Take a little bit more. Bit of water. Make that a little bit thicker. So see, it goes slanted a little bit. And if you slant yours a little more or less, that's fine too. Okay, so the next color I'm going to be using without washing my brush is the purple. Take a little bit of blue along with that. And I'll start from this side. I'm not going to push too hard. I'm going to do this really lightly so that it's patchy looking and we have that wood green look. Now I've got a really great brush that I'm going to be using that's going to work awesome for this. Okay, the brush I'm using is this Rake fan or even tail. I'm going to get that brush wet. You really want to make sure that it's wet. And I'll take both purple and blue and start to pull and drag. And you can be wiggly. You can even turn your brush as you're doing it. And that's going to give you that really nice wood grain look. Now I'm going to go into white with the blue. And we'll just keep adding. Sometimes pushing and then letting off. And that'll give us a more natural look as well. But I chose the blue and the purple for this fence because it's complementary to all the gold, yellow, and orange. And then we can come in with the post here. So I'll use purple with a little bit of black that's left there. And we're going to add it right about here. So we'll do a line on the top. We're going to go right down. This board goes over top of that other one. Okay, right away, I'm not even going to wait to dry it off. I'm just going to go into my purple and blue with my even tail fan. And then at the top here, I'm going to turn my brush so you can kind of use it, well, you can use it both ways, like that, and kind of wiggle. This is one of those brushes that's really great for painting hair and fur. You guys have seen me use it quite a bit. Give it a nice highlight right there. I'm gonna come over, but as this dries, I can come in and add some more highlights. Okay, and I'll add some really nice dark contrasting shadows now with my liner in black. It looked like the wood's got maybe some, these posts have some cracks in them. To really make this one look like it's in the front, we're going to add a little bit of that black and then create a little shadow here on the under this board here. And then just re-outline that, make it really stand out. Go in and add a few more highlights here, just with my flat brush. I'm going to stay away from this area, right, because I want that to be in shadow. And that white again there for a nice highlight. Maybe a little bit of white just on the top there. And I think before we add our rooster, because our rooster is going to be here, we should have a little bit of something else down here. So maybe we'll add some more flowers. Again, just making them small. So I'll use a little bit of orange and cadmium yellow, a bit of white. And then I'll add the center. I'm just using little dabs of purple, black, and brown, just anything dark. So I'm going to get some phthalo blue and some turquoise. My rooster's going to be very colorful. I'm going to need a little bit of scarlet red. You can use any red that you want. Okay, so I'm going to start with the head, and I'll use a little bit of white, red, maybe some yellow and orange. Use a little bit of purple as well. Just to start, to initially start, we need a darker base, and then we'll brighten it with a little bit of the red. And then we'll have the face right about here. I don't know what the things are called on top of the rooster. They kind of look kind of cool. I like the way roosters look. I love how colorful they are. And they just are so nice in a farm scene. Then we're going to come down here. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. You can add maybe another little one if you want. And then we're going to come down, scoop, and then scoop just like that. Right away I'll pick up some red and white. We'll go inside with it. I think I'm going to need a little bit more here with the white to make that show up. And then carefully add a little highlight inside of the top as well. I'm going to take a little bit of my blue and purple to add the beak, just a little something like that. And then we'll have the eye. A little circle outlining in blue, and then a little bit of black. Maybe more in shadow here, so just underneath here, so I'm just adding a little bit of that black that's on my brush. And then the shape comes down. Kind of a little hump right there, and then slant down. Take a bit of that red and white again. I'm going to take my blue, a little bit of purple, we'll start the feathers, push, pull, just with our filbert. little scoop of white, turquoise, and whatever else is in my brush. And little feet will come down here. Use a little bit more of my phthalo. I can see I'm going to have to make the head bigger so, you know, with comparison to the body. So we can just go right ahead and do that. A little bit of purple, red. Make the beak come out a little bit more. And we'll add a shadow, blue and purple. We're just going to push this in. Okay, and now I'm going to take some yellow, red, and we'll start adding a bit of white in there. Quite a bit of paint on my brush. We'll start adding these warmer colored feathers here. I'm going to add a little bit of white inside the beak. Just need to have it outlined in a darker color first. Okay, and I'm going to work on the feet now and let that kind of just sit and dry for a bit. So right under here, goes up like that, and it's going to be darker. And then the leg starts here. So I'm going to do this, that purple, blue, even if there's a little bit of black in there, that's fine too. And then we're going to take some white. we'll do one little claw, and then one that wraps kind of around on that side. And then gradually gets into this darker area. Could add a little bit of pink. Take some purple with that. Start adding some shadow under here where the other foot is going to be. So black, purple, any dark color that you want, really. Add some white. Some turquoise now. And we'll just start to have these feathers come down here. And some purple in there too. Blue, teal, and purple. Unfortunately, we had to cover up that tree. So if you want your tree to stay in there, place your rooster a little bit differently. So just coming in with some highlights now, a bit of white and turquoise. Okay, now I'm going to use some of my neon red, and we'll start working on the face a little bit, and some more, but I'm using Luminous Neon Red by Holbein. So back over to my small filbert, take a little bit of white with that bright red, and we're just going to cut inside, leaving the rest dark. Now I can come in here and add a scoop of red and yellow. Okay, so it's going to be pretty dark in here, but then it starts to lighten up over on this side. Take a little bit of white with that, just so it's nice and bright. And I'm going to start picking up a little bit of that wet blue and turquoise, but that's okay because I'm just going to make some other highlights. Back over to my turquoise. And we can add little feathers that go like this too. Just like how we paint palm leaves and palm plants. Just going to take a little bit more red to cover some shadows in there. Add the eye. A little bit more white there inside the beak. A little bit of purple. Kind of reminds me of beautiful colors that peacocks have. Okay, so now I'm going to take some of my white with a little bit of yellow. Then I can start adding some more little pulls like this little taps and pulling over towards this side. And they're going to start to go that way. I'm going to take more yellow and white. So they go this way and then like this and then towards that way. More white. Add just a little bit of green in here. Just sort of camouflage back here a bit. And I want to add some sunlight hitting this part of the rooster's face. So I'm just going to brighten that up. And I'm going to add the light right down in here. And then just soften with my finger. Come in with a little bit more red. And now I'm going to add the finishing touches. I'm going to add little hints of red in here. This neon red. A little bit to the feet. A little bit of white, and then just doing these little taps and lines that their little legs have. Another claw that comes back there. Just a little bit more color with this luminous violet. This is going to be the finishing touches to this painting. So here we've got this gorgeous violet color that it's just really beautiful, and with all these other ones. Add some white in there. And then just finish up by adding a little bit of this color in here and around the flowers because it's very complementary. And then soften. Okay, so this painting is all done. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this one. I sure enjoyed painting it and taking the time to make a tutorial for you guys. If you appreciated this video, give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel and feel free to contribute and become one of my members on my Patreon page. I'll leave a link below for Facebook group, Patreon, and a few other tutorials I think you guys may enjoy. Have a wonderful day and happy painting, and I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye!